Hey everybody, my name's Ed. Okay, so we're going to do another quick movie review. This time it is going to be In the Company of Men from 1997, written and directed by Neil Labute, starring Aaron Eckhart, Malloy, and Stacey Edwards. It's basically a dark look at men in relationships. So there's a couple of corporate salesmen who have had recent bad breaks up with women, and they side for sport to manipulate an innocent woman and break her heart on purpose. When the movie was originally released, it got a number of positive reviews, and it has an interesting comment or commentary on human nature. Okay, so now Chad and Howard are a couple of men assigned to establish a branch office in the Midwest for their company. So they're going to be in a small town in the Midwest for about 6 weeks. And because they're angry at the women they've broken up with, they decide to play a game and date a vulnerable woman and dump her as a way to strike back at all females. So Chad is the more outgoing of the two, and Howard is the more reserved. And they meet Christine, a deaf girl, at the office, and decide that she's the perfect innocent girl to take their revenge on. At first, things seem to be going well for the plan, but Howard gradually begins to develop real feelings for the deaf girl. Okay, so now Neil Labute wrote the script for In the Company of Men himself, and it's pretty interesting. The dialogue is mostly believable and realistic, and has much of the nuance of normal human speech, yet there is a lot of dark wit and irony in the dialogue and speech, and the characters are believably mostly as well rounded, even if they aren't always likable. So now, like I said, ultimately it's basically a very dark comedy with a grim opinion on human nature. So there's a lot of funny scenes, but the humor is mostly black and dark and ironic. There's some funny dialogue and interactions. I'd say the characters of Howard and Chad are very much about toxic masculinity, even though we weren't using that term, back then when they originally did this movie. But these are men in positions of power, and they use that power to abuse a woman, and it's specifically because she's a woman, but they also use their power to manipulate other men in the company, and ultimately their actions seem to be driven by either male security and or narcissism. And in a way, the movie does come off as a very mean-spirited film, but of course that is kind of the point. Um, most other films, I think other types of movies dealing with this type of subject matter would have ended with a clear moral and maybe retribution for the wrongdoers. Or I'm sorry, excuse me, or at the very least, a denouncement by the overall narrative. But this movie puts a pretty chilling spin on all that. Now, In the Company of Men, it has good acting from the main cast, but Aaron Eckhart really stands out as the egotistical Chad. He's able to portray the right amount of egotism and charm, and where it's clear that he's a jerk, it's also clear why some people might see him as attractive and endearing. The other actors, Malloy and Stacey Edwards, are great as well, and they interact well with Eckert. Overall, the movie has competent but not great filmmaking. It very much looks like a low budget indie flick from the 90s, which it is. The camera work is sturdy enough, but not particularly inventive. It has an okay-ish editing and composition, but again, not outstanding. Having said that, the overall pacing is fine, and the mood and tone works for the subject matter. So to wrap it up, In the Company of Men, it's written and directed by Neil Labute. It's an interesting and intriguing film, although probably not the most pleasant viewing experience. It's well scripted and well active, but it is a very dark movie about bad men doing a bad thing. But it plays out in a plausible and believable way. There's a depressing twist, conflicting morality, and again, while not great filmmaking on a production level, it's still an interesting movie. Worth watching, but one more time, it's maybe not a feel good cinema experience. Okay, so that's it. I got to thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. You guys have a great day.